I'm so proud to introduce you all to MGK.
My biggest question every time I go anywhere is, will people show up? And I was looking at all those empty chairs, and I wondered if I should say anything online to get people to show up. And I'm really, really happy to see all the seats filled and to know that the energy is just already out there for people to show up.
You got a lot of fans. They're sending a lot of love. I hear you out there. All right, well, let's jump into it. This is the place of music. This is the GRAMMY Museum. If you've not walked downstairs, you should check it out. There's a lot of history. But this is the place, the home of music. So tonight, we're going to get to talk with MGK about music and how his journey, what he's created recently. For those of you that don't know, and I bet that's absolutely none of you, he's got a new record out, Lost Americana. It is, by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, the third #1 rock album in a row.
That's correct.
Okay, that's good. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's also been quoted in Billboard and Rolling Stone, a bunch of other magazines, as a defining record in rock, and the genres that you've touched are similar to those of Bruce Springsteen and other legends of that sort. You've been compared to some of those records.
That is
Spectacular.
truly
What do you guys think?
an honor.
So I feel like they agree. Colson, let's talk a little bit, if you don't mind, about just your path in music. You grew up, I know you're a Cleveland guy, Midwest. Talk about how you got here. It's a big question.
Well, it started with my mom in the delivery room. That is an interesting place to start, because I remember, on my dad's deathbed in hospice, he was explaining my birth, and he was like, yeah, you were born, they had to grab me out with the forceps because I wasn't coming out. So I have these indents in my head. I always wondered that when I rubbed my head, because I have all these indents in my head, but I guess that's from metal forceps. They really probably
Snatched you up.
Yeah, they snatched me out of there. And I had the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck, and it was kind of a foreshadowing for just like a soul that was wondering if this is really where I wanted to be. And then I spent a lot of time bouncing back and forth through what I wanted to be in life at a very young age. And I just became obsessed with being a world-renowned rock star. That was like the ultimate goal for me.
That's crazy. I know a lot of people grow up thinking about, hey, I might want to make music, but you wanted to be a rock star.
Yeah, and I say that, it's ironic because, I started in a punk band. It was a 3-piece punk band, and I just played guitar. My friend played bass, and my one homie, he was a drummer, a really good drummer. He used to always wear a yarmulke. And then I moved into battle rapping, and to me, rock star isn't necessarily about the sonics of what you do. It's about the attitude and the spirit that you carry. Right. And I carry that spirit very heavy in me, because when I walk, my feet are sturdy on the ground, like they're heavy, and I'm confident in where I'm going, and I'm confident that there's not a path carved out for where I'm walking. So a lot of people tend to question, like, why is bro going that way?
Why is he doing that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what gave you that confidence? What gave you the inspiration? Was there an artist that you emulated, or somebody that gave you that vibe, like they're going to do something crazy and different and I want to be that?
I saw DMX so much as a kid, like as a beacon of hope for myself, because I was a runaway. I would spend nights sleeping in bus stops and crashing at friends' houses. And, my dad, just a big alcoholic and just huge multiple personality guy. Like I didn't really understand much about him until he died, actually. But I it was myself and my imagination. And so as I've grown up, you know, there's a couple of things that are hard to do. Like as you grow up, it's hard to hold on to friends because when you're a kid, there's no real responsibility, so hanging out is an easy thing. But as you grow up, keeping those friends is really hard. You know, you have to actually start working at it like a job, or else friends just kind of fall away because you're all on your own path. So like that was hard. But one of the hardest things to do as you grow up is to maintain your imagination. You know, there's this whole notion of growing up like you have to lose that. And I think the only reason that my art continues to evolve is because my imagination won't go anywhere. It's relentless, and it's something that I hold on to as closely as I hold on to my children.
Mm. I have to say, and you all can back me up on this, I've done a lot of these conversations with a lot of artists, and I don't know if there's a more earnest, forthcoming, honest artist than you. Would you guys agree? You don't hear the type of conversation that you're hearing tonight from a lot of artists. And I want to connect that to your music because I really feel that that's the same spirit you put into your songs, into the way you perform, when you're talking to the audience in a crowd, when you're singing, when you're writing lyrics. How did you translate what's in here to the page and then ultimately to a record?
I think the biggest defining moment with how I started translating what was in here to the page was actually not putting it on pages anymore. Because when I would read it, when I would write it, I would overthink it, and I would look and I would say, oh, that's too harsh, or I can't say that. And there's a good example on Tickets to My Downfall. It's called Play This When I'm Gone. Now, rewind a little bit. I used to always write my songs. But there was something holding me back, and that was like the lack of imagination. Imagination isn't just thinking and putting, that becomes a little bit more mathematic. Like imagination is closing your eyes and just being whatever is, you know, being channeled through you. And so that mentality started happening around an album called Hotel Diablo. But then fast forward to that song, Play This When I'm Gone. That was a suicide note that not a suicide. That was what was I gonna say? Oh, that was on a night when my heart was palpitating so much. This is from where it was a good night, but it was during nights when I was abusing a drug that was not good for me. And I felt my heart start to go in a weird rhythm, and then I felt my system, I felt my brain, like my cognitive functions start to die out. And I just remember thinking, like, I have to see my daughter. Like, I don't want, like, that's, like, I started writing out these things that I wanted to tell her and that I wanted to send to her. And then before I could finish, I had to put everything down because I felt like I stopped functioning, and I just laid horizontal for a while, and I focused on my breath, and I started praying, and I came out of it. But then I went to the studio later that week, and I wanted to get it out, but there was a moment where it stopped on what I wrote down to her, and where I just had to speak from feeling of what I would say to her as an angel. If I wasn't here in this life. And so songs like Play This When I'm Gone, which was the outro of Tickets to My Downfall, was just a pure stream of consciousness to the best gift that I ever got in my life, which was my daughter. So I also found through my fan base that I think they relate a lot more to the realness or the vulnerability or maybe the archetype of someone who, you know, rose from the ashes like a phoenix, someone who is more broken, because I feel like that's a more common feeling around the world than people who are always in control or feel good about themselves. I think I find myself to be a beacon of, or a representative of the broken. So, and that's a really easy place for me to tap into because honestly, man, for the most part, you know, I feel broken, and I'm starting to do the work, and I've been doing the work to put those pieces back together. And sometimes I get a little too scared when the pieces come back together because I'm like, oh, but how can I ever write about being broken if I'm always fixed? And so, you know, maybe that was what I was feeling in the past 3 years since my last album, which was Mainstream Sellout. I was getting a little scared of the writing that I was doing because I wasn't impressed by it. And things were going pretty good for me. And maybe something was just clicking in my head like, but out of torment comes some really good content.
Some good stuff.
Yeah.
Out of torment comes good content.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, for a poet at least, and I think my songs are a lot more like poetry with music behind it.
Well, that's an interesting concept. So, with that in mind, did you ever keep a journal? Or do you write when you're on the bus or when you're on flights? I know you said you don't like to put everything on paper, but do you just write your feelings sometimes?
Yeah, when I was in rehab, I had this red. I brought this red notebook. A fan actually gave it to me, but I wrote so much in that. You can't really do much in there. So I put together the largest Lego set that exists. I think it's a 10,000 piece Eiffel Tower with a British friend of mine named Andrew, who I met on like my first day. He was like, "Would you like to do some Legos?" And he didn't even call it Legos. He said Lego. And I said Lego. And we, I'm sorry. And we put that together, and then, you know, they would lights off everything around, 9:30, 10 p.m. And then during all those hours that I couldn't sleep, I would just write my feelings. So yeah, I do that. And I also, you know, I manifest a lot. I write down things that I want to attain, and on a new moon, I burn it. I did that for the Grammys a couple years ago. Didn't pan out, but I think it was waiting for the right year. So well, it's in there.
Keep pushing.
Yeah, keep cooking.
Gotta keep cooking. Are you comfortable talking about this stuff? Do you like talking about music and feelings and lyrics? Are you cool with all that?
In a public space in front of a lot of people, I am, but in my house intimately, no.
Isn't that the weirdest thing?
Yeah, yeah.
It's very backwards for me. You talked a little bit about, you said you went to the studio and you were channeling, things were flowing through you. What is your process like? I know I'm learning that you're not writing lyrics, but a lot of it's coming from where? Life experiences from above? How do you rectify or make sense of how you're able to put out music and write music?
Well, with Lost Americana, I kind of was like, I want to talk about 1 month of my life. I did that with Life in Pink, which is a documentary my friend Sam had cooked up.
Yeah.
That documentary, you know, so many people were like, they wanted to dive into my past or into my life, because my upbringing was very interesting. I was, you know, 2 weeks after I was born, I moved to Africa till I was 6 years old, and I moved all over the place. I was born left-handed, but they made me right-handed because because the culture over there, left-handed is bad luck. It was just there's so many weird like oddities in my life, and it was like, oh, should we tap into that for this documentary? And I was like, nah, like it was about, I think, a 2-year, 3-year period of a guy who was genre bending in a day and age where it's almost like unheard of, I guess, since like a Bowie or a Prince had done it. So for the new generation, it was a little bit unexpected, and it came with a lot of drama and a lot of hate, and all of that is in the, yeah, a lot of judgment. And so that, like, the documentary was interesting enough just being on that period of time. And so I took inspiration from that, and Lost Americana was kind of about a month of my life, whether that was December or January, but it was, what was the question?
Just how you catch the flow, how you pull in and get the inspiration.
Well,
unexplainable, maybe. Just happens.
No,
right?
it is, though, because I loved this realization that I have that the frequency of sound can connect you to a universal this ethos that can reverberate through everybody because it's innate. So you're born familiar with dance, with comedy, with sound, with rhythm. Like these are all innate feelings in us, which is why we connect to music so much, and why when you dance, you're
fun and it feels so dang good.
Yeah, because one of the things, like the next thing that connects you closer to God outside of love is joy. And joy is created through connecting to a frequency of like hearing a song that you love so much, even if it's so sad and it makes you cry. It's like there's joy finding commonality in a sad song, like that someone else relates to what you're going through. That makes you joyous. So when my friends would get together in this living room in my house, because our studio had burned down in the fires, and it was almost like God wanted us to just come back to day one of how we started everything. Because, man, when you reach those heights, because through Tickets to My Downfall and Mainstream Sellout, these are heights that after 10 to 12 years of grinding really hard, people almost forget those stories. They just look at the arenas and the stadiums that we're doing and the success and the tabloids and the paparazzi, picture. Just this, they forget. They almost erase the grind that we had to get there. And it almost erased it in me, where I just kind of became that character that I was looking at on my phone or on my TV. And so this humbling happens. One, kind of where like my personal life just fell all the way apart. And then the studio fell apart. My songs sucked. And I didn't realize that I just needed to be in a living room with my friends with our instruments and a recording set up, because you came over actually when we had just done Cliche and Vampire and Miss Sunshine and all these songs, and I played them for you, and I just remember you were thoroughly
blown away.
Yeah. And I guess dude, friendship played such a huge part in me being comfortable to just talk about things, or I don't know, I guess I just yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe I said all that to just say it was kind of unexplainable, which I guess.
But that's what makes artists like you special, because it is coming from a place that is deep and is personal and it's meaningful. A lot of artists can just write lyrics. They can write about love, they can write about partying, they can write about breaking up. But if it's not coming from you personally, through your passion, through your experiences, you can tell the difference. So we don't need to try and, I guess, explain it.
What I can say is this album, and me as an artist at this point, I said, well, what am I? I think, everyone comes up to me that's an aspiring artist, and they're like, what's the advice you have? And I remember my response a lot of times is, oh, your image, like something that, what makes you unique, that when you walk in a room, people are going to look at you or like want to look at you. But that, I don't know if that's the right thing. I think actually the right response is, what do you stand for? And me, there's this great quote I was reading in a book, Bob Dylan. It's a Bob Dylan book, and this, to me, spoke on who I am as an artist and what this album, Lost Americana, meant. It's a quote from it about somebody else's project, but it said, it returns things to a pre-corporate economic order and wipes the slate clean. It's the enemy of those that prey on the weak and the representative of all people who are afraid to speak freely. And that, I'm a living, breathing example of the American dream, and I speak for those people who are all chasing to attain that same thing. And that, to me, is rock and roll. That, to me, when people question, why should this album be nominated for Best Rock Album? Rock is not just about the sonics. And sure, the sonics are there. There's guitars, there's drums, there's bass, synthesizers. There's all of these. By the way, too, this is the first album that I've done where everything was analog. There was no Kempers. All these were amplifiers set up in my house. We had about 11, 12 different amps. Which one has the best sound? You were there.
I can attest to that because I walked in, I was like, God dang.
Yeah. And I remember I give all credit to Slim for being like, we need to spend the money to bring all of this stuff in because one of these things might have the perfect sound. And the Prophet 6, I think, we brought in all these old synthesizers, and I remember No Love was playing, and we finally attained this one sound, and then I was like, oh, arpeggiate that, and then he arpeggiated it, and it became the intro to Outlaw Overture. So all of this analog sound was pure feeling and magic that only those things on that day at that specific time could have put out. And that is rock and roll because it literally is rock and roll. And then rock, most importantly, is a spirit. Rock is a spirit. The reason why Lost Americana is a rock album is because it embodies the spirit of rebellion. It's the counter. I took Machine Gun Kelly away and I made it MGK and I let that go in the ethos, and my fans replaced MGK with standing for Machine Gun Kelly to standing for multi-genre king.
Now I know. Now I get it.
And it's the spirit of letting go. The spirit, that is rock and roll.
That is very rock and roll. Well, it leads me to another question, and it sounds like I'm joking, but what in the world made you think you should be doing all these different genres? Because most artists barely can figure out how to do one thing. And then when you get that, they play it and play it and play it and overuse it. You figured out how to do so many different things so really, really well. What gave you that crazy idea? Where did the audacity to do hip hop, rap, rock, pop, all that at the same time over a career?
Because those things were my holy trinity. Those were the things that I loved genuinely growing up. I loved rock, I loved rap, I loved pop. And I don't know if nu metal is in there somewhere, like Limp Bizkit and Linkin Park, because, man, I love that. Maybe that's right between rock and rap. But those things were what I loved. So I'm not dropping our jazz album.
Not yet.
I love jazz. I mean,
you work with John Baptiste on this record, so you never know.
That's real. But I say that to say I do, even if it makes other people comfortable, I'm comfortable doing it. It was like when I danced. I grew up, I knew how to move. I just never showed you.
Now you know.
Yeah. So I had to contain some of my surprises because I have a lot of years to keep surprising you guys. So I couldn't give it to you early. I had to wait 15 years later to.
Well, I would agree. This is an incredible rock record, no question. But also listening to it for myself, it's a new sound that I haven't heard a lot. The low end, the kick, the bass, the synths blended together with what would traditionally be thought of as a rock record. As you, as Slim, the other guys in the band, I know in the living room we're all coming up with this, but was that intentional or did it just accidentally happen?
Yeah, I think, we're the younger generation. We're the new generation of what it sounds like, and with that, we have to incorporate some of the elements that my goal is to bring, and always was, even when I did Tickets to My Downfall, was to bring rock to a bigger platform. Because, I remember when I gave radio a song from Tickets to My Downfall, at first they were like, there's too much guitar in this. This is rock radio. And I said, but you're rock radio. how could there be too much guitar for rock radio? And we're talking about, and it's my guitar, so it's like, it's like, this isn't like, it's like,
Right.
MGK guitar is a little bit more simpler. But so even that, at that time, they were like, oh, we can't play this. And so I just saw something dying that was a part of my upbringing, and it was sad. And I was like, nah, but I have a voice, I have a platform, and I know how to do it in a way that, will reach the next generation. And dude, honestly, man, the people are always going to be louder than the industry. So for me to give it to the people like they understood it, and I also I think I mean, dude, me and a lot of the guys in the studio, we're street kids, so we like we like
It
that.
hits.
Yeah, dude. Because, and to be honest, hip hop and rock was always synonymous to me. It was all like one of the best examples, dude. Just seeing Run DMC and Aerosmith come together with that.
Yeah, classic.
It was phenomenal, man. And we all get along outside of the cameras and stuff. Like, rappers and rock stars are one and the same. So I just I wanted to blend the worlds a little bit.
It's amazing. It's a great blend. The other thing I notice about this record that's really special is a lot of the vocals, both the treatments and the performances. I think it's Treading Water, where it's just so intimate and you're singing your lower register, and it's just such a great vocal. So first of all, congratulations on the vocals, right? Crazy. But also you used, it sounds like pedals or different kind of treatments to the vocal, right?
Yeah, actually, my favorite one is on Outlaw Overture. We put it through a tape machine, and then we took the vocals out of the tape machine. I'm talking about one of those things that was just in the corner. And we were all like, does anyone know how to use this? And and Sean, who's my engineer, he put what'd you do, bro? You put it through the tape machine and... Yeah, am I explaining right? It was bro, like I still don't know how it worked. I just looked at it spin and I was like, whoa. And then we got it into Pro Tools, and then I heard it and I was like, oh my God, because it's like it almost sounds like I don't know, like a eighth note delay or something happening, but it sounds like there's two of me stacked on top of each other. Whatever it was like, okay, that tape machine in that moment of time is the reason why my voice sounded like that. And then I started playing with my lower register because I have a deeper voice. When I was making my pop punk records, a lot of those, you kind of sing higher. I also was new to singing on Take Us to My Downfall, Mainstream Sellout, so I didn't really get to play with too many different types of melodies. I kept it pretty ABC. But on this one, I started to expand my knowledge of melody. And
your range, and it's amazing. Great vocals. Switching gears a little bit, you've been doing some live shows and obviously prolific tour artist. You're going to go out on tour again. Are there things that you love more about touring versus being in the studio? Any crazy fan experiences, things that you get excited about? I know you're getting ready to go back out.
I like this one in Europe. Dude, this fan was like, I didn't get enough time with you, like in the show. And so he laid in front of the bus. And we were like, bro, you gotta move. He inched closer to the wheel. He was like, I'm not moving, bro. And my boy Reed picked him up and put him in a flower pot. His head's in the flower pot, his legs are sticking out the flower pot. We get back in the bus, we're like, that was gnarly. Sit down, the bus driver's like, he's in front of the wheels again.
He really wanted some more time.
Yeah, he wanted more time, which was sweet. And then the bus driver ran him over and he died. His skull got crushed. I'm just kidding. Blood was everywhere.
Classic. Tell us just a little bit about the tour. Starting soon, it's been announced, yes?
Yeah, thanks. think it's been 2 or 3 years since I've toured, and this one's the Lost Americana tour. I'm gonna start here in LA at the Forum. I had a grudge because the Forum was like this close to selling out last time, so I was like, "You ain't getting over on me, buddy. We're gonna double right back." And yeah, I want to sell it out and start the tour on a high note. And then we're gonna tour for about a year and a half, which I'm excited about because little does anyone know that during that time, at some point, another album will surface. So, yeah,
I think
a lot of words to memorize for everybody.
Well, your band is crazy. Have you guys all seen MGK perform live? This is one of the tightest bands ever. I don't know if you got all. Is everyone with you? Rook and the whole.
Yeah. They're all with me.
Oh
today.
man, I want to stop talking so I can hear the show. But this is really great conversation. So hopefully we'll get both. I just want to ask you one or two more questions, if that's all right.
Yeah.
So when you drop Last Americana, you work on it. I know how hard you work. I know how much you care. There's very few artists that care as much about the craft of making music than you. You put it out into the world, and what does that feel like? What does that do to you personally? First part of the question. Second part of the question is, how have you grown through this experience of Lost Americana?
I let go of the preciousness of expectations for sure. I was on Bob Dylan's album discography, and this dude got 50 fucking albums, right? I went and looked at the numbers of some of them. Some of them got like 3,000 plays, and then others have 300 million and bajillion, billion streams and things like that. And it was like, yes, dude. Yes. Like, this isn't about what numbers this stuff is going to do. This isn't about accolades. This is about, this guy loves making music just like I love making music. Why am I putting any space between projects? If I'm feeling something, I have to put this down, and I have to put this out. This is the only thing I was created for. Like, dude, I have no other purpose. I'm a father, and I'm an artist, and an artist has to put out his product, and that I just will never. I can't imagine a day where I'm uninspired to not put this stuff out. So I think, like, I don't have a prolific answer for you, like what I felt when I put out Lost Americana, because this one is like a journal entry. This one is like, here is 1 month of my life in which everything went rock bottom, but at the same time, I'm more free than I've ever felt. And the interesting part, when I listen to the subject matter, like the maturation between the last two albums and this one, I didn't talk about partying once. There wasn't any of those themes on this album, which is such a theme in music in general and has been a theme of my life, but that wasn't going on at all. I was in a house hiding my beard from Instagram, for months. And I realized, like, oh my God, this album is just drenched in truth. Like, there wasn't any, oh, we should make this kind of song for this. This was like, this is all honest. That album is so honest, dude. All those things are exactly what was happening and how they were happening. So the fact that we didn't pander at all when it came out, I was like, here is me. It's like when I looked at myself in the Jennifer Hudson Spirit Tunnel, and I watched that video back because it went stupid viral, and I don't know why, but I looked at it, and my daughter was getting her hair done the other day before homecoming, and one of the ladies was like, I really liked, I really liked watching you in that tunnel, and that's what made me go back and rewatch it. I went and looked at it, and I was like, oh yeah, like that is me. That is me in that moment of time. I'm completely unhinged and feeling goofy. I was happy to be there, and that's what I felt. And so Lost Americana was the same thing. I'm like, I'm sad, I'm depressed, I'm happy, I'm with my friends. Shit sucks. It was all the things, and I was like, there you go. And then I'll do it again with the next project. I'll be like, here you go. So I think I just have left all expectations, and like the Bob Dylan example, I just want to. My job is to make music. My heart wants me to make music, so all I want to do is just make music. The expectations of what comes with it is really just satiated when someone comes up to me and they go, hey man, I love that album, or I get to go perform and people just sing the words, and I get to know that I did something right. So I guess the fun is back, because I'm like, oh, who cares if it doesn't go, who cares if it doesn't go number one? Who cares if it does this or does that? Like some stuff, like this album is a grower, not a shower. So this one, off the jump, it didn't do what Tickets to My Downfall did. But in the long run, I know for a fact that this one is infinity. I dropped it on 8/8. I dropped it on 8/8. You take that 8 and you flip it to the side, that is infinity. That is forever. So with this album, I know that it's forever, and I will be able to tour it forever. And it's one of those things that there's songs on there that I can be in a lobby in a hotel, and if there's a guitar and a mic there, I could just be like, well, and then jam one of those, jam anything on there. So it's truly pure.
That's right. Well, we're so lucky that you do make music. We're so thankful and appreciative that you make the records that you do and put the records out that you do. And you said that's your one purpose. I think you have a lot of purposes, man. I think music is a special one, and we're really lucky that you're doing that. But you're so much bigger than that. You're an incredible guy. I do want to take a couple questions from the audience if there's somebody that would like to ask something. Yes, right here. They're going to maybe bring you a microphone, I'm not sure. Or I'll try and hear you. Just go for it.
We're going to start right here first. That's
okay, then we'll come to you next. Sorry.
Hi, Colson.
Hi.
My name is Danny, and I am an educator, and I wanted to know, you talked a lot about your difficulty as a child and with your parents. I'm wondering if there was a teacher in your life or another adult who kind of encouraged you in music or, helped you to find this path.
No, trauma pretty much took care of that.
Okay, that happens.
But yeah, you know what? Actually, you know what? Yeah, dude, I was in Cleveland a couple days ago, and this guy comes up to me and he was like, I went to Shaker, bro, like, and he said what year it was, and it was long after me, and he was like, man, we had the same teacher. I said, who is it? He was like, Mr. Kelly, and he was like, man, he talks about you all the time so highly. And actually, man, I saw him at a homecoming game at my high school. I went there with my daughter last year, and I saw him again, and it actually made me so happy because he really did like and believe in me, and I was a wild guy. Like and I don't mean just in the sense of like bad, because like obvious and sure and typical, but like I was wild in the sense of my imagination, dude. The way I would come dressed weekly, like the different phases that I would go in. Like one week I would have like a spiked collar. The next week I'd have like a 5X fur coat. Like next week I would have and he just saw this weird kid searching for something, and he always supported me. So if you're an educator, I say that to say, man, yeah, you have all these students passing through, and some of them will grow up and they'll hopefully all of them, but we know that's not true. But most of them will grow up and become great. And I'm happy to meet an educator tonight because I actually forgot kind of who supported me during, my youth because I felt very unsupported. But yeah, that guy, Mr. Kelly, I would like to give him a shout out.
Yeah, Mr. Kelly.
Good
stuff.
He was cool.
One more question here. Yep.
Okay, hi. So I have two quick things. My name is McKenna. I'm very excited. This is my first time seeing you perform, so finally. Off of the new album, what song do you enjoy writing and also like recording the most?
I remember Outlaw Overture was my most exciting one because it started off and I was like, what do I want to say? And the beat was playing and out of nowhere I just screamed, "Can't shut me up." And the whole room was like, and it is a microcosm of how we should all feel about things that we believe in. The whole world is so, actually, I don't want to say that because that actually seems like very narcissistic, like the whole world gives a fuck about me. But like a lot of people on the internet world don't want me to break out of the boxes that are constantly being put on me. And I just loved that this album started off. The first words on this album are "Can't shut me up." It's so just like, it takes the power back. It takes the power back. And then that's just embracing the American freedom of the end of that song when it said, "Take me somewhere cheap where the living is easy." It's just like, it just makes me, it makes me proud to be a kid from a place that, isn't a hub and isn't, it made me like, it made me proud to reconnect with my younger self again. Like, I don't need the tangible things. It's all actually in here. And then my favorite song to record was probably Miss Sunshine, because Miss Sunshine or Vampire Diaries. I mean, like, Vampire Diaries is actually sick because I just remember I came with this terrible idea where we couldn't think of an idea, and I was like, man, we should make a song called Boredom. Like, that would really hit. And everyone was like, all right. And we started, and then I was like, no. And then I called Ashley and I was like, hey, we need a bunch of Ollipops. And so she sent a bunch of Ollipops to the studio, and we went outside and we were just like, yeah, drinking our drinks out of a cup. And we were like, man, this feels really good. Summer drinks, huh? And this lady walked by with an umbrella, and it couldn't be more sunny. And I was like, that's a really interesting human. Like, why, what? It was also like, I feel like it was like a see-through umbrella. I was just like, why? What is the purpose of this umbrella? And it made me think, oh, I should write a story about a vampire who just wants to go in the sun. Like a vampire who which then is a giant metaphor for someone who just wants to break out the box of the norm, which is all of us. Like, we all want to do something that is reminiscent of our inner child. And I like the idea of a vampire just sitting there like, man, I wish I could go out there right now. Like, the nighttime sucks, no one's outside.
And walk under a clear umbrella.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then my last thing is congrats on 5 years of Tickets to My Downfall. Being an artist in a different way, I'm a photographer. I actually have some photos I took 5 years ago inspired by Bloody Valentine, and I would love to trade them for guitar pick if possible.
Yeah, guitar pick on deck. Got you. Dude, cool exchange.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. Good way to end the session. I think we're going to jump into some music. I do happen to have a copy of this record. Make sure you check it out. We're going to listen to some music, take a couple minutes to get set up, and then we'll be right back here. Thank you, Cole.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you,
buddy.
bud.
Awesome.